So what surprises is this sudden passing away of this brother Dasana. So my topic is for today is about how to be ready for death when it comes. And first thing, we know that death can come anytime, any place, to anybody. So it is in a way quite sightless or very silent. It comes and it suddenly comes out and it grabs somebody away. Well, this is not something so new. It has happened before and it will happen again. The question is whether we are ready for it or not. This is that is signless. It's not really as signless as it seems, because there are certain signs that appear. For example, a very obvious thing is age. When you grow old and your hair becomes white, then you know that time has flown. And it may not be very long before death comes to you and tells you it's time to go. There are other things as well that highlight us on that death is nearby. For example, the body is not working so well anymore, even though you are maybe still relatively young. For example, and you go for a medical checkup and you find that certain things are not doing too well. And the cholesterol is high, your heart, be careful. And so the sugar is high, and you go all through the test and you find that there's something getting worse. So it is a sign that this death is coming closer and closer. And finally, if you happen to detect some kind of tumor somewhere, it's getting even closer. I have 2 points to check, and I go for medical checkup. On one hand, on one side, this is this cholesterol level. And on this side is this sugar level. And so these are the 2 points. On and off, something appears. Then what is that? And so there is this signs that come with the body. Especially we have certain lumps and certain blotches in the skin with probably skin cancer. I've got a few friends in Europe who actually detected the skin cancer quite fast and able to remove it. Otherwise, they would have been dead. So there are certain signs that are involved. As to that, as regards to preparation of that, I have one, shall I say, a suggestion which I use for myself, and I think it will work. I don't know whether it is working or not, because if it is working, that means I won't be around very long. So my idea is to make a wish. We do meditation, we do a lot of aditana, jhana, I want jhana, I want mangapala. This, you have to try something more humble, but also quite serious. For example, I make a usual aditana that I will know where 1 month before my death comes. And when the death is 1 month before, it will show me a sign. Now, from experience, we know that the mind knows. Sometimes it tells you, but you just don't listen. No? Too involved with worldly things of life to matter, to think about death. But no, I want it to be quite clear, so I asked you to give a sign. This sign is something very private. No, I won't tell you mine. It may be something like, I want to see my grandmother to come when I'm about to die. She will appear to me, something like that. My grandmother, of course, who knows your grandmother because she's dead, but and things like that. You may see some signs. These are called nimittas. Normally, signs appear before death. They are nimittas. The Dhamma tells us they may be the karma nimitta, the sign of your karma. What karma you have done so strongly that you will come face to face with your death. It's a death face. No? It could be a bad thing, which may be the chicken you killed, or maybe a good face, like somebody who has helped in your life, and she's dead, but she comes back to see you again. Things like that. There's a karma. Then there's a sign of karma. Then after that, there is the possibility of the next rebirth. And those are certain signs that appear to you to death. These are natural things that happen. But here you're putting something before that happens. So you put a sign that when you're 1 month or 2 months before your death, I want a sign to happen. And I want the sign to happen clearly again and again and again until I get the message. Okay? Sometimes they appear, oh, yes, there's nothing, you don't take it seriously, but you think, I want to see it clearly again and again until I get the message. And then sooner or later, you will get a message. And then you can put aside everything away. And I said everything, including your husband, wife, and children, everything away, including your house, your car, put everything away, and you go for intensive meditation. That's the best thing you can do. Because 1 month is ample time for you to make something out of your meditation, especially if your body is not in such a wreck, not such a terrible pain. So you have time, at least maybe you can even do some walking and some sitting and some of these contemplations, and that is one useful thing I think will definitely work, although I have no proof of it yet. Otherwise you won't see my face, I've been meditating. Okay, just one preparation you can do. Of course, there's nothing better to very constant, serious practice. Mindfulness is one thing that you have to keep practicing and maintaining all the time. And it takes a long time to build up. It's not so simple. And because of that, when you need it most, it won't be there. So those are times which are most difficult. Like before you're going to die and you can hardly take a breath. How to be mindful when I cannot breathe? Yes, that's what's the point. If you have been practicing long enough, it will still help you in some way. And because this, we call it habitual karma, proximate karma, all this comes into play. Because especially near death, the karmic causes and the karmic results, they all gather together and they come in force. So if you have been practicing mindfully and then you're naturally mindful all the time, then when this time comes, you naturally become very mindful. I've heard of many cases where people are near death, and they find that when they're near death, they are so mindful. So even in the retreat, I have not been so mindful. And so this is where all your good karma of practice comes to work. I'll tell you a personal experience. At one time, some of you may know that I was also quite close to death. I was in a hospital in this Sabah, KK. And blood was coming from the nose and mouth and everything, spilling out. And so after that, I went to somewhere and I thought I was supposed to die. So what happened was I couldn't breathe anymore. I felt that I want to breathe, but my breath is about to stop. But I was still very aware, I was still very aware. And so I said, what happens? At that moment, I had an intuition that if I live, I will be a vegetable. So I can choose to die or I can choose to be a vegetable. I said, no way, I'm not going to be a vegetable. No way, what am I doing as a vegetable? I might as well die. But I will die mindfully. So I accepted the situation. I said, okay, death has come. I can't breathe. Never mind. No death, no breath, never mind. Not important. Mindfulness is more important. Okay? Mindful. and the whole thing can crash my head. No problem, mindfulness. So finally, there was a big burst, explosion. And what happened was interesting because all the states that I have reached in meditation in Burma, Myanmar, Rangoon, under Sadhu Pandita, they all keep coming, flash, flash, cut, 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 flash, flash, cut, cut, cut. I said, wow, this is interesting, you know. So it worked. It seems that all the levels of concentration and reach and samatha and vipassana all went through my mind. You know? And so after that, what happened? I didn't die. So that's why I'm still here. I didn't die. So, well, since it's so difficult to die, I might as well still live. Okay, and that was the point. I said, well, when I live, I'm going to do. Okay, I do something for the sasana. That's how I started the Kota Tinggi Santi Sukarama Meditation Center. No, because I couldn't die, so I must well do something. Set up. So that was what happened. No? So these are the things. For example, all the practice that you've done will help you. What you can do to bring this stronger is, for example, you remember certain important, wholesome deeds that you have done. No? And during that time, if you call them, they will stand out. No? And when they stand out, the karmic force will be stronger. Right? And this is one thing you can have. But nothing is better than always constant practicing habitually until you're really habitually mindful, habitually in vipassana. For example, I noticed a number of people who have been practicing and going for retreats for many years. No? Not 1 or 2 years, of course, 5, 10 years, 20 years. Huh? And these people, even in their daily life, they go into vipassana concentration. No? In their work and just before they sleep, they close their eyes, they go into vipassana concentration without any problem. And they go to the levels of vipassana insights, and they can do it. So the nature is such that this concentration is not what a lot of people think, that they must really lock themselves up, close everything, windows, doors, and then that all those does help, But the most important thing is the mind, whether the mind wants to meditate or not, whether the mind wants to go into this concentration or not. That is it. If it has gone in before, it knows how to do it. For people who meditate a lot, but they think and think at the time, they want to go in, they cannot go in because the mind is not interested in going in. So this is one good point. The third interesting thing that you can be prepared for is recollection of death. This happens to be one of my constant and favorite practices. Not that I feel I'm going to die yet, but no, I find this practice very interesting as time goes on. For example, there are many ways of doing it other than the normal traditional contemplation according to the Visuddhimagga. And there's one way you can do it. You can use it as the first base. And after that, you can apply it in different ways. For example, what I do is whenever I go to a new place and I travel a lot, I visit any cemetery I get. I go to each cemetery and look at the face, 24 years, 50 years, 80 years, and I go through it, and when I go through it, something happens to my mind. No, it's not frightened, but it seems to be a very acceptance of the fact of death. No? For example, one thing. Another thing that I do is sometimes, at night I cannot sleep. So what do? I think of all the people I have known, and I've known that they have passed away. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I got past 100 now. So they were so alive. Now it includes dasana, or people which you don't expect. And then sometimes I go into a state of concentration, recollecting very strange, until the mind is quite timeless, and all these people are still there. It's very interesting. And then, but it is a kind of concentration and kind of accept. So this is one thing. So what happened was, we see, during this COVID period, as you know, no, Italy was quite badly affected in the beginning, and people in the worst places like Milano and Bergamo, these northern regions, they said it was a very fearful period because they said they keep hearing ambulance sirens. And day by day they're carrying hundreds of corpses away, things like that. But to me, I move around and somehow I say I'm not affected at all. I have no fear of this death. Why? Then when I came back to I was actually in a retreat but it was cut short because everybody has to go home because Italy is all red. We have to go home. And so I have to go back to Piacenza, which is another region, like you say, another state. So I went back, I said, why am I so peaceful in terms of all these dangers? Then I knew when I stepped into the house, because in my room there is a shrine, and this is called the Shrine of Death. I have all those death monumentals all inside. There's even one small rubber ring, which I got from New York. It's about the New York souvenir about the September 11th sign. So I have it down there on the September 11th souvenir. And all those things. And on the top, the main thing down there is the skull. A real skull was given to me by a friend in Europe. So I had a skull right in front of me. Every day, I would give incense, I would give respect to death. Respect to you, Mr. Death. I know you will come to claim me, but it's okay. I welcome you with open arms. And every time I think of death, he seems to be smiling. It's a skull. And he's kind to me. So one day when I was meditating, I had a vision that these two beings in my room. This is a story. Please don't take that serious. There were two people, whispering. And one was one of the four guardians. I have the four guardians also in my room. One of the four guardians, and one was this death. The specter of death was there. Then the four guardians said, leave him alone. He's doing good, making some sense and doing good job in this world. Let him live longer. Then death was saying, well, I also like to know how far he can go in his meditation. So, okay, so death is not in a hurry to claim me. So anyway, these are things that about death that you think of. It's quite amusing, but death is no longer something fearful. And because of this contemplation of death, every time I see death, I'm at peace. I'm calm. I'm not afraid of death. So this is one of the things I do because I have a shrine on death. And it has all those mementos. Like for example, I have small books. One book is called All My Friends Are Dead. This is a picture of a dinosaur. All My Friends Are Dead. It's actually a book on black humor by the British. Then there's another booklet there which is called Death with All the Children. And gathered next to him. And all the children, he narrates the story of all the children, how they died. One was drowned, one was what? It's quite gory, but the pictures are very beautiful. but no, it strikes something very deep in you, and so death is not something so terrible. It's part of life, and you can accept it, and when you come face to face with it. So these are contemplation of death is something very useful. So when you're ready and you know that death is death, of course you make all the preparations. This was also what that happens on the contemplation of death. You see, I was supposed to go back to Malaysia, I think beginning of next year or end of this year. I was supposed to go back. But nobody can go to Malaysia now because it's all locked down. All strangers are not supposed to go in. All strangers, Malaysia are not supposed to go out. And so, anyway, and even in my time so I was supposed to go back there, and I was supposed to experiment. I was supposed to experiment in my death retreat. Now, what happens if I know that I'm going to die? Where would I go? The most natural place, I think, is Malaysia. My roots, whatever they mean, my roots. And so I must see whether it is possible or not. Because Malaysia got too many faithful, devotional people. If they know they die, everybody will come and rush to see you for the last time, and then there's no end to it. So I remember once when I was having malaria in Malaysia, and everybody wanted to see me. They look at me with such sad faces, and they don't know what to say. I look at them, they look at me. I said, please, I want to have some rest. Leave me alone. So I was experimenting whether I could do it or not. So I was supposed to ask one of these PWC kapiyas. A good one is Mr. Chu. No, Chu is quite straightforward. He'll tell you, go away. You have to go away. And so, and make a protected place that I believe, say I'm really going to die, and see whether they can take care of things for me. Because usually it's easier to get helpers and so on in Malaysia than in Europe. And so I was supposed to go back. But it cannot be done because now nobody can go anywhere. And so since I'm locked down in Italy, I must do it here, which is perfect. Because this place has this journey here, and there's a small community here, and even lockdown, they help each other very much. So everybody gets along fine and in peace. And so, okay, this is my death retreat. I think that really I'm going to die. Who knows? I may have caught this COVID virus, and it comes under the dangerous age. Before that, I was going around that highly infected zone, I was going around the highly infected zone, including a big fat star, big mass of people shoulder rubbing. And so who knows, I may have got it. So I get into the real situation that now this is the end of my life, and I do what I can, I practice what I can. And of course, it was beautiful. It was wonderful. And then and I also get more progress in my practice and my experience. Everything was perfect. Again, at this point, I didn't die. I'm still alive. One of these days is going to work. Didn't die. And so after that, strange things happen. The infection rate here in Europe, it goes up, down, up, down, up, down. They are all ready to close down, then they don't close, they close down, they don't close. And the situation that you cannot plan anything. So in such a case, I'm ready to accept anything anyway, because I've learned to accept everything, whatever happens, because when death comes, you have to accept anything, everything, who cares? What is important thing is mindfulness in this moment, to the last minute. No, don't hold on to your dear life. Just hold on to the mindfulness to the last minute. Life will go anyway. So it works. Then I'm always back to the stable situation, the peace of mind, and I work as if nothing happened. So very good. This contemplation of death and this practice. So have I overdone my time? Yeah. Hello. Have I said too much? Overtime my time? Then anyway, I'll end here now. Otherwise, I won't stop talking. Not at all. Okay. So, as a last saying, I would say that we are also going to plant a tree for Brother Dasana here in this center. We have already started planting trees for people who have died. Of course, here they don't put ashes, because to put ashes here, you need a lot of bureaucracy. Although one of the ashes of Lucia, if you know, the parrot lady, the lady who meditates always with a parrot on her shoulder, she passed away, and her remains are here. So, but whoever dies, we plant a tree in name for her. So we're going to plant one tree for Brother Dasana. Actually, a mass of trees. They are ginkgo trees. And if you remember, when I was in Malaysia, I got some ginkgo seeds. No, the ginkgo trees. I brought some seeds from the hawkers market in PJ. And then I came back and planted it, and it grew. Then this is the second batch. When I planted it, it grew. And so there was one of this all in one big pot, about 2 feet high. So I'm going to plant it for Dasana. So for a short period, I think I will leave Dasana to do the transference of merits or whatever you can.